Back to our daily war against the Jews of today. Boy, I hope everyone got a chance to get some rest and kind of figure out whatever they need to last night. I came across this, and I thought it would be good to use as an illustration until I could get a true geodesic dome. This is one of those things that they put around, like if you go to the liquor store, they put these around glass bottles, so if you buy multiple ones, they run less risk of cracking or shattering or breaking in a bag. Because when you have glass close to each other, it has a higher risk of shattering. But check this out. Look at you see this is like a lattice structure, but you see how it can kind of deform, and you see how that can work. This is one example of tensegrity that we were talking about yesterday. So, have you ever done push-ups on your fingertips like that? It's kind of like a spider web. This ability is how our fascial system. Fascia is the thin film that surrounds or encapsulates our muscles, and this is what the book Anatomy Trains by Tom Myers is about. Okay, it's a little bit complex because in white culture or in Jewish culture, European culture in general, what they like to do is they like to categorize everything and turn everything into a system. Generally speaking, they don't want to acknowledge the supremacy of the Creator intellectually because they want to be God. Okay, this is the crux of the matter. It's why they can never acknowledge somebody like Dr. Sebi or any kind of African or melanated. Sorry, guys, I am jumping into this conversation for this one. They're not going to acknowledge melanated leadership because that would fly in the face of their entire life philosophy. I saw an Instagram post from Dr. Joy DeGruy. I'm so sorry, ma'am, if I'm mispronouncing it. But since college, I did the woke thing in 2006, and the girls didn't like it. So I was like, okay, just be the pretty boy for a little while you do your research, and then we can come back to it later. Same thing with spirituality and faith. Keep that as private as you can. Unfortunately, the world was getting so gay so fast, and hip hop culture. The candle was being burned at both ends. White culture is naturally gay, so I got an opportunity to go. We're going to bounce around a little bit, okay? I got an opportunity to be a part of a Caucasian fraternity, and I won a scholarship there. And I took one tour of that house, and it had that kind of beer smell, after smell. You know how after a night of beer pong, what that smells like. And I looked on the wall, and I saw all these white faces. Every once in a while, I'd see an Indian face. No black people, but I did see a black cook, and I was like, "Oh God, here we go. Okay, they're gonna do the fucking white girl go to Africa and take a social media picture and put it up on Facebook as a profile picture to show how moral they are." I couldn't do it. I can't do it. Okay, you're already asking me to do so much by contorting myself into this mediocre intellect so that you can feel superior. Okay, you know how stressed I am every day, contorting myself for your fragility. There's only so much I can take. And then they plant house niggers in your own family to destroy you. My mother was only 69 years old, having first seizures, then supernatural healing coming from that, then aneurysms, and then finally a heart attack. What is the common denominator of all this? Unnecessary stress because of hypocritical doctrine and inability to put theory into practice. So this is a tensegrity structure of a kind, okay? So now if like I want to show you. If we have this, okay, like this, right? So imagine my forearm is the bone, okay? This is my fascia, okay? And Tom Myers himself will tell you that aging is merely dehydration. Okay, so the stiffness that you feel when you get up out of bed in your 40s and 50s, some of you in your 30s are starting to realize this. Remember, you're spending 8 hours, 8 to 10 hours a day seated. You have to go to work sitting in your car, and then you go to your desk and you sit in a desk, okay? And then, as I mentioned before, that area around your prostate is being compressed. There's no blood flow to the genital region. You're not doing any kind of Kegel exercises, stopping and starting the flow of urine when you go to the bathroom. Okay, you're not doing any kind of pliability or yoga work. You picked a wife that does not admire you sexually. You were her last resort in order to pay her bills. So it's not like she's giving you rub downs at the end of the day. Okay, so a lot of this you brought upon yourself. But I've given you an exercise library on the Texas Movement Performance YouTube channel. I've given you a beginner's strength routine workout that is full body, upper and lower. I've given you several core exercises. I've given you an at-home warm-up that is useful during COVID that requires very minimal equipment. And then I've also given you the Elite Secret course to kind of tie the overarching concepts together. That's available on Udemy now. All of this is listed at performance.texasmovement.com. Okay, so I've done my part on that front. Now, with regards to tensegrity, look, you've seen some of the highlight videos that I've done. Some of that is showing off because I want white people to know what actual hard work looks like if it's done with respect for culture. And that's why I far preferred working at Sanders Fit versus Park City's personal training. A lot less condescension there. And, for the most part, I was treated like a peer. Of course, there were physical therapists there that wanted to keep their Rocky Balboa style of nonsense when they worked with people. You got relationships with the Dallas Cowboys because of just you force yourself into places that you have no business in, okay? And then you create these pieces of paper, like the Bible, and you manipulate the people of God. So kids, as you can see, all these things are spiritual issues at the core. And your teachers and your babysitters and all the people that do local government programs are put in place to kind of take that instinct away from you. Okay? Most of you gays have had some kind of molestation experience from your childhood. And now Sam Altman is telling you you need to marry a man and use ChatGPT to raise a baby. When all these AI platforms get to choose what you get to research. That 20% is extremely important. My max I'm really only comfortable saying my max squat is 225 because a squat, knowing what I know now, should be below parallel. Ass to grass is a subjective term because you're asking the body to dump into the knee joint at the very bottom. And I can in good conscience recommend that as a training style, because eventually what's going to happen is you're going to literally demand all that force at that point, And the joint itself is not meant for that kind of force. Now, if you keep it here, you can still use the integrity of the system, which is just like you can use the integrity of the system to manage that compression. Okay? But if you just do this, it's not going to work. Okay? You're going to have to forgive me. I don't have the proper language to articulate it the way I want. But it's just like Deflategate or, an inflated basketball. When a basketball's flat, the bounce is different, right? So when the arches of our feet are inactive, what you have now is you have your third class lever, your ankle, and your knee and your hip smashing onto like a snowshoe. Okay, can you imagine trying to run in snowshoes? That's why I'm running 11 seconds. But you can't form the arches unless there is space enough to do that. But what's happening all day, every day? Gravity is compressing us, right? So we're losing our tensegrity every day because gravity is smashing not only our spine. You ever cracked your back, spinal decompression? You've gone to the chiropractor, maybe they have those machines that kind of open you up and stretch you. And you ever notice how the best chiropractors have massage therapists right next door or working in tandem with them? That's because the muscles and fascia are what hold the joints in place. And every joint, not just the vertebrae, every joint is supposed to have a little bit of space so that fluid can pass through. And that is what gives the skin the hydrated look that it has, and that youthful appearance that it has. Because you've seen people even in their 60s and 70s who look very, very virile and young and healthy and youthful, right? That's because their internal structure is well spaced out and open so that all that circulation and all those good fluids can pass through every joint system in the body, right? So when that's optimized and you have the proper muscular recruitment and you have a good amount of neurological availability, the CNS is firing, right? You haven't fatigued your adrenal glands by abuse of chemicals. This is why you need to go on a caffeine fast from time to time. You cannot redline the body. The Indian thinking, the East Asian and Indian way of thinking when it comes to raising children is not sustainable. You cannot be your children's opponent all their life and worship at the feet of the oppressor. You cannot have your cake and eat it too. Do you understand? Malayalis, you cannot talk about Jesus and treat your children like slaves. And you Koreans are known for your churches as well. But I'm going to stay out of your business. Now, again, 80% is a good target. Okay, 80% tensegrity will take care of you for a long time, especially if you're willing to do 80% on holistic nutrition. Okay, so we were talking about the relationship between good quality protein and blood sugar. That crash that you feel like after you have a cup of coffee, let's say you didn't put butter in your coffee, right? I like to put a little bit of butter in my coffee because that kind of helps it doesn't spike, the crash doesn't come so quickly. It kind of just levels off gradually. Okay, they call it bulletproof coffee. You can use coconut oil as well, MCT oil, that kind of thing. Basically, you're putting a fat into the drink to kind of, I think it helps with the acidity a little bit as well. You guys can look into that a little bit yourself. But that, and then maybe you want to put a little sugar in there, then it's not as big of a deal, right? So if you get good quality fats, which avocados are good, okay, guacamole is good. But things like butter, coconut oil, MCT oil are also acceptable. I think I don't know what all nutrients nuts have in them, almonds and cashews and things like that. I'm not sure. Like if I had this is kind of where I want to spend my time now. I want to learn a little bit more about that. So I'm looking for resources here in the Chicagoland area, but I don't want to. The problem is a lot of those people just get too deep into the New Age stuff, and we need to have I can't even say Christian anymore, but I'm going to use the word Christian I'm going to use it as a label simply because um, uh, I want I want to describe the purity of the relationship with God through that label. Okay, white Jesus is not going to be a part of this discussion. Okay, as far as you're concerned, I'm Jesus now. Um, Quality proteins. Now, it is very valid that meat can carry parasites, which is why from time to time, which is why the green vegetables are very important as well. Okay. Now, if you're doing if you're making quality nutritional choices, you will be fortifying your immune system. Okay. I like to, if I'm feeling something coming on, like some type of cough or anything like that, or if I did something particularly risky, like walk around a bunch of times in the cold, or maybe I went to a bar where there was a lot of cigarette smoke or something like that, I come home and, if I'm dehydrated after a bunch of drinking, what do? You drink some water and you take some zinc. And the zinc, as you sleep, will help kind of fortify your immune system, right? So the immune system is our natural defense against all of these maladies. Okay, so Dr. Sebi talked about AIDS and herpes and all types of eczema and skin problems and things like that. The skin is the largest organ on the body. You're going to see all these things leave and detox through the hair, through the fingernails, through the skin, through urine, through feces, through vomit, okay, and also through carbon dioxide, okay? So we have a natural engineering system, we have a natural plumbing system that in multiple ways allows these toxins to exit our physical form. Okay, so we need to do things just like a Toyota Camry it runs a lot smoother than a Jaguar, right? If you ask a mechanic, there are brands of vehicle that are known for their quality of assembly, and usually that's because the companies that come from Japan don't have ridiculous labor costs, and they don't have CEOs that need to be levels and levels and levels above their employees in terms of income. Okay? I read somewhere that at some point the Toyota CEO was making like $90,000 salary or something like that. Okay? If you're making $90,000, $100,000 in today's day and age, you can live like a king. Okay? Any more than that, and you're really overcompensating for something that happened to you as a child. And you need to get over that. All of you Jews that preach the greatness of psychology and psychiatry, and you say everything is Freud, and you want to have sex with your mother, and all these things in this Oedipus complex. How come you can't figure out how to solve your own childhood trauma and let everybody live like normal human beings? We don't like Molech. We don't want to sacrifice our children to Molech. Let's invent new vocabulary words that fix nothing. Well, if you look at the trajectory of the idiots. Okay. So, like I said, we'll keep fleshing out the tensegrity concept. I want that tensegrity philosophy to be a big part of Texas Movement performance. Okay, that's going to be kind of our contribution to the game. And then we're going to work on we're going to call it, what are we going to call it? Like active, maybe like a executive mobility course or something like that. Something that will take the Hindu connotations out of yoga and make it more performance focused for the heterosexual male. Okay, child's pose and quadruped position looks like you're about to take something in the ass, and I'm not a huge fan of that. So I'll try to structure it in such a way where it won't make you feel uncomfortable. Okay, which is another reason why I had to be very careful about my interaction with sexuality. Because as a light-skinned male in a minority community, that's already seen as kind of feminine. And if you speak English, pronouncing the whole word like this, of course, black women think you're a homosexual. Because that's the only thing that's allowed on television these days. And if you're literate, you have to be a sodomite. This doesn't mean I don't love you, but it's like Chris Rock said, you can drive a car with your feet if you want to, but that's not the best way to do it. Yeah, and my dad is embarrassed about me speaking, but it's embarrassing to be the son of the greatest connector with the Spirit of God in the last 50 years on this earth and have this level of hypocrisy regarding financial liquidity, which is temporary. And once you're married, two beings become one. Which means if one dies, you have to audit half of yourself. And the autopsy will tell you your own character. You take an audit of anyone that I spent more than 30 days with, of the female persuasion. You audit their confidence, you audit their appearance, you audit their character, and in some cases, you can audit their career trajectory. Whether the orgasms were genuine or not. Was the effort not there? All this while I'm building an impossible bridge. but you need sushi for every meal. I would much prefer monogamy and quality. But since that is dogmatically unavailable to me from a cultural standpoint, I had to pursue volume to fortify the resume. I do not want to run the 400. That's pussy! I do not want to listen to Public Enemy and KRS-One. We crossed the bridge. The hard part is pretty much done, okay? I always knew that we were going to get to a point where the only obstacle left was going to be scale. Okay, we've got the website, texasmovement.com. The verticals are already set up. And, with a few more bucks, we can tighten up the presentation. And we don't need any more verticals, to be honest. We can really just build out what we have and we'll be fine. Okay? And I know that it's a $1 trillion thing. And Troy Zimmerman has nothing to do with my net worth. The only Jew involvement in Texas movement is any genetic ancestry I may have. And as I told you before, 20 years old, I cut it off. I sincerely apologize to the African American community for what the Jewish community has done to you. The Lord will reward them exactly the way they deserve, in a way that will bring eternal joy to your heart. Those of you in bondage now, I'm praying for you every day. Okay, where are we? Yeah, okay, that's good for now. We're going to continue here in the future. Until I see you again, God bless, and we'll talk soon.